I just want to get a record of a couple of things that have been happening lately. I don't have my glasses or contacts. I can have my glasses on or contacts in, so I can't see super clearly. But in short, my dad is in the hospital and he is actively dying. We just don't know how long that process will go on. And but we had two instances, like both when he fell. He had fallen in May, a couple months ago, and how it played out at that time was he had just changed memory care facilities, and I didn't know. I hadn't even been to the new one yet. Like, it was a brand new, So I just had this sense, like, this urgent, like, need to, like, go see dad right now. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go see dad. Like, I really felt like to go see him for some reason. And because it was my first time there, I didn't have the codes. I didn't know how to get in. It was like a slower process than normal. You had to be like escorted in, and the aides had to bring me around, and it's just, the girl had a sign, and it just kind of took a little bit longer than it normally would have, right? Because it was my first time. And then she had to bring me upstairs to where he was. And then by the time I got up there, though, and I don't know, maybe that took 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. It wasn't like super long, but it wasn't also instantaneous. And by the time she got me up to his floor, he had apparently just fallen, right? And they had found him on the floor, like maybe he had passed out or tripped or fainted, or nobody really knew it was unwitnessed at the time. Now they have cameras, so I'm sure they've seen since how it all played out, but at the time nobody knew what had happened. And by the time I got there, he was sitting up. Oh, it's my sister finally responding to me. Good. I want to talk to her. Sorry. He was sitting up at the end of the hallway with like all these nurses and stuff around him, and they were like doing vitals and like assessing if he was okay. And he looked sweaty, and he looked scared and kind of sad and uncomfortable. And he saw me there, and I was like, "Hi, Dad." I'm like a familiar place to him in this new surroundings of this new memory care, and has Alzheimer's, so he probably was very confused about where is he. And it looked to me like he was smiling, but it looked to me like he wanted to cry, like almost like even relief, and almost like he was probably so glad to see me, and I was so glad to see him right then. And I was so thankful, like, I don't want to say that I knew to go. It would be like the Holy Spirit was just like, get over there to dad right now, and I did, and there was a reason. And because he was walking so horrifically, like, abnormally, I was like, we're going to the ER. Like, once the staff were, like, done with their assessments. And then, granted, they don't know him yet. He's brand new to them, too. So they can't tell what's normal, what's not normal for him, etc. And I could tell them this walk is not normal, etc. And so we went to the ER. At the ER, first we went to the doctor at the VA, and they sent him to the ER. And then the ER doctor said, in essence, because of the Alzheimer's, don't do the tests for like CT scan or whatever of his brain, see if he's got a brain bleed or whatever. Don't do the tests if you're not going to be treating. If you wouldn't do brain surgery, then don't test to see what's going on in there. Did he hurt his head or not? And whether that's good advice or not, it is just the facts of how it played out. And the doctor was asking, it was pretty much like up to me. And I said, this is not my decision. My sister is his guardian. I need to call her. I need to call my sister. And he said, no, you're the one with me. You're the one here with him right now. And so then he gave us time to think about it. And I was like thinking about it and talking to my dad about it. And I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, what do you want? You know, and he can't say, I'm not really asking him, but he just wanted to go. He wanted to get out of there, and he was hungry and tired, you know, and I just was like, I could see that my dad was not responsive or not like receptive to the tests of even like let the doctor look in his ears, that my dad was like getting aggressive with the doctor and fighting with him. And I think that was weighing into why the doctor was saying, let's not bother doing all these tests. Let's not torture your dad with these tests, because he wouldn't tolerate them as well because of his Alzheimer's, you know, and if you wouldn't treat anyway, then don't test. And so then eventually, and so then he was like, so in essence, like guiding me, like, let's do a referral to hospice. And I, throughout that process, ended up agreeing, like, okay, yes, let's refer to hospice. And then he was going to send the hospice referral to my sister, the guardian. And then I had checked with them, the rest of the family, and they were like, yes, good decision. That's what they would have done too. So I was like relieved I didn't like make the wrong decision, right? Now we know 2 months later that he did have a brain bleed at that time. And it took approximately 2 months to pretty much kill him. So because of that brain bleed, which was so slow and so small, it was building up in his head, and then causing, after about 2 months, almost to the day, like May 16th to July 16th or something like that, he started to like have all these weird falls and inability to urinate and just like all these weird things we couldn't figure out. Is it like prostate, or like why is he falling? And just like weird things were happening all at once. It was super random, and it didn't all quite make sense, you know, but it's because it was neurological. It was because it was his brain was bleeding, and there was getting too much blood in there, and so it was making hard to his body to function. And so then he hit himself again in the head. And then I think we ended up bringing him to the ER. And again, no scans were done. Now, that was not me ruling that out. That was other family members ruling that out. But we were still taking that first doctor's advice of, if you wouldn't treat, why test? And I won't go into too much detail about that second ER visit, but it was unpleasant. And then we left. He came back to his memory care, and within a day or two, he fell again. So then my sister called me, and she was like, can you bring Dad into the ER? And I was like, at that point, I was like, I can meet him there, but I will not be transporting him there. If he's falling this much and needs to go to the ER at this point for the third time in 2 months, he needs an ambulance. Let them take him there, and I will meet him there. And so that's what we did. And so then I got there, and I was able to talk to these doctors and be like, hey, I know that in essence the family has been listening to that first doctor's advice of, if you wouldn't treat, then why test? But I said, since we're here and since this is the third time, and it would be really, really helpful to at least know what's going on, could we please do the tests? Can we give him the scans of his brain and just see? Because those are the pieces that have been continuously skipped. And so they were like, of course. Now, technically, I wasn't the decision maker, but when they spoke to the guardian, she agreed, and whatever, they moved forward with the tests. So the test showed old blood and new blood. He had, a circle area of like old blood from that slow first fall, which was impacting his brain. And then he had new blood from these more recent falls in a different area. And they said it was an enormous amount of blood in his head. And that's a death sentence right there. The whole scenario, it was they were like blown away. He was doing so well, sitting up in the ER eating a turkey sandwich. And so I'll try to wrap this up. Anyway, so since then, that was Wednesday, like over a week ago. So and I spent all day. It felt like we were at the ER at night, but really I was there since like 8 in the morning. But there's no windows, so you feel like it's nighttime. But I was there morning till night, like a 13-hour day at the ER Wednesday. And then he got admitted. So then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday, I have been in and out of the hospital with my dad and other family members too, coming in and out of town, and etc. And I'm also juggling working and taking care of my regular life and all of that. But so he is dying from this. Now, the doctor said today he likely has less blood than before. Like, it's not like his brain is just having this unending amount of blood. He said the pressure in his brain from the blood is probably less than it was on last Wednesday, like over a week ago. I think because his body is really drying out and he's not having any inputs, and so it's just all output. And he's not on IV fluids or even IV meds anymore at this point. And so it's like, in essence, it's like that. It's not like for lack of a better word, it's not like his head will just get like so full of blood. It's like, the doctor was explaining, it's probably less than before. And, but regardless, so he is dying. And the second point I wanted to say, though, of this video was, so the first one, kind of like when I was called to go see him that very first day, that happened again today. So I was working desperately in the morning, because I'm trying to still like work as much as possible, because I just can't, I don't have like 3 weeks I can just take off work randomly. Like, I still have to function and work. And there's other family members who can see him as well and be there. And so I started work super early, like 7:30, you know, and I ended up stopping at 9. But during that process of like in the morning, I don't know when, 8:30, 8:45-ish, whenever, I just had this sense, like a press on my heart, like I just have to go see Dad by 10. 10 o'clock was like this in my mind, like I gotta get there by 10. I gotta get to the hospital by 10. 10 o'clock is the time to be there by. And it wasn't like stressful, but I was just like, I just knew like, I gotta get to the hospital by 10. I don't know why. I don't know. In retrospect, I'm 100% this was like God or the spirit or however it works, like again. Because I just knew I had to go to the hospital by 10. And so then at 9 o'clock, I was like, okay, I'm shutting down my computer. It gives me time. I'm gonna go get over there. And I feel like I cannot see anything. I'm so filthy. But anyway, so I went in there and I was kind of rushing because I didn't know what I was going to, like, I thought was Easy's dying, like what's happening? But nobody had called me, so I was like, what's going to happen when I get in there? And I think I got to his room around 9:45, and they had told me, like, at some point, the nurses had said, like, oh, he had just had like 2 meds at approximately 8:45. So I'm like, okay, well, he's freshly medicated, right? But when I got in, now he was alone. No doctors in the room, no palliative team in the room, no nurses in the room, no family in the room, nobody. Just me showing up randomly right at that exact time. And he was so different than normal, and his eyes were open. And that's the biggest thing, because I haven't seen his eyes open since Wednesday. I mean, he hasn't been opening his eyes like where they stay open, and like where I can look at him, he can look at us. It was remarkable. It was like so beautiful. I thought he was dying in the moment, but apparently he wasn't. He's still alive. But it was like he was dying, and it was like him and I being able to like say our goodbyes in that way. It was so beautiful. I don't want to act like he was in pain or like it was horrible or anything. It was so beautiful. It was such a gift to be able to be there and to be able to feel like I was there at the right time, and something told me to be there by that time, and I was there by that time, and it was the perfect time to be there. It was very wonderful, and I'm so grateful for it. And then at some point in there, the nurses had came in, they wanted to like medicate him again. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, you were just here an hour ago. And I'm also processing, like, could this be from the meds? Like, hello, are you sure he needs another dose right now? It's only been 1 hour. Like, are we medicating him hourly, or what's going on? So my sense was like, this was not appropriate for additional meds at this point. So, and I just didn't want to disrupt the moment, because it was so good compared to the last 9 days of what this has been like, you know. And I just was in essence saying to them, just not exactly right now, like, you know, give me a minute. And they were cool with it. And then Dad settled down, and hi kitty, and then he ended up kind of going back. It'd be like sleeping sort of, and doing his regular breathing, and just like that, what we're used to, where he just kind of lies there and does nothing, you know. He calmed, and it wasn't that he calmed from the meds, but it was more like that whatever was going on, it was just like over with then. you know? And then at that point I was able to like start connecting with people, and I checked with base with my sister because I wanted to see if she was coming in, and she was already on her way. And so I was like, that's good. And then I kind of like texted her what was going on a little bit so she would have a heads up, you know? And then I just wasn't sure like what was going on, right? Once she got there, then I ended up taking a break, going to get food and drink, and palliative nurse had came in and explained some things to my sister, and then I wasn't there for that. And I think sometimes when other people relay information on your behalf, like they can say it wrong, like when she's saying to the palliative nurse like that I experienced something with my father, or that I think something, or that I am worried about something or whatever, like it's skewed kind of, not purposefully, but just like the message isn't getting correctly to the other person because she's not me. Had I been in the room, I could articulate whatever it is that I said or feel or saw or think or want or have a question about in a better way than somebody else could, because they're seeing everything from their perspective and they don't know what's going on in my mind or my heart, right? They're trying, but they don't know. And so that happens a lot in our family, where people misrelay things about me, and I don't really ever get a chance to like speak the truth. And it has been very difficult, and it has caused a lot of discord in our family because wrong things have been relayed, and I don't want to say gossiped about, but it's like wrong things have been said, and then people like react to that and like become angry or whatever, and they're not even hearing the truth in the first place, and nobody's coming ever to check with me and ask me anything. You know, it has truly distorted our family. So I'm very sensitive when those things happen, like ongoing, because I'm just so tired of it. Like, this has to stop now. Let me just speak for myself. But anyway, but then the doctor came in, so I'm almost done. This is getting so long. Anyway, so then the doctor came in, and it was a wonderful conversation because she was there and I was there, and we were each able to speak for our own selves and discuss various scenarios and questions, and he was able to tell us stuff, which was helpful because like I can't carry out the guardian's wishes if she doesn't tell me what her wishes are. And I wouldn't try to violate her wishes, but if I don't know what she wants, I can't also assist either. Like I'm in the dark. But whereas the doctor was able to say, oh, she wants this or that, and then we would be like, oh, okay, because then now that we know that, if something were to happen, we could assist with that process or whatever, you know. Communication is always good, not our family's strong suit. But so it was helpful. Just that conversation with the doctor was very, very good, and I'm so thankful that I was in the room when he showed up because it was my first time seeing him. Anyway, so at this point, my dad is resting, and then now he's on whatever drugs again. They gave him another dose of whatever it is, and he's with my sister. And I just wanted to say about listening to that inner voice, whether it's wisdom or the Holy Spirit or just what, like twice now that's happened with my dad. It happened once when he first fell and got this original brain bleed, and it happened again today when something was going on with him. And I don't know if that thing that was going on with him was from that 8:45 dose of meds that I was seeing the effect of at 9:45, but I don't think so. And was it just extreme pain? I also don't think so, because he was fully medicated. I think it was purely a gift from the Holy Spirit to like give my dad and I a minute to connect. Because now I kind of feel like my number one fear has always been like, well, if we don't move him out of the hospital, he's going to die in the hospital alone, because I cannot get to him. I can't be there, and my mom can't be there a lot. His ex-wife, and then his current partner can't get there, and it's just like, it's such a barrier having him be like downtown and so far away from all of us as opposed to being close. So I do feel better now, like, okay, well, if he were to die in the hospital, like, we had our time together, like, to say goodbye in a significant and powerful and good way. Like, I feel like that was so great for us to be able to have that time together. Probably my siblings will feel like he was suffering and I was allowing it, and they might spin it negatively. But again, I am finding that there's differences between family members who are making their decisions based on fear as opposed to like being guided by the spirit or having peace. Like, it truly is so obvious, like, as this unfolds with my dad and all the various family members, like the importance of just having that peace and calm and like just moving with the spirit, if you will. So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that happened today, and I got to be there for my dad. And I am also hopeful that he tomorrow discharges and comes to a place that's super close to all of our houses. I'm also hopeful that that happens, but if it doesn't happen, you know, I'll be fine. But it's not all about me. But I do worry he will die alone in the hospital if he doesn't move. Anyway, I gotta go. I also have another family member who's in the hospital right now too, so that's been like a lot to juggle because one of my poor sisters, she can't come home to see my dad because her son is also in the hospital. So it's just a lot of stress for her, versus I luckily live here and can see my dad, whereas she can't even choose to fly home because she's also been in the hospital for a very long time with her own child. So it's a lot for the family to process. But anyway, I just wanted to share that and get it on record because both times that happened, it has been so remarkable. Anyway, bye.